Good afternoon. I'm Reverend David. Thank you for joining me today for Disciple Time as we finish up our small group study, Made for This Moment by Max Lucado. Now, if you have not participated in this small group study, I still recommend that you get this book, get the videos, go through it. It's a phenomenal small group study. I recommend this to churches, to anybody. It's just a good thing to go through. This week, our focus is remembering God's faithfulness, and I was contemplating how I might unpack this from a different angle than Max Lucado. I kind of recalled that old hymn, Great is Thy Faithfulness, and this is an old Protestant hymn, but it was written by Thomas Chisholm, and he was converted into Christianity at about age 26. And this guy published over 174 hymns. He wrote over 1,200 poems. And one of his aims as he would write for the church would be to use Scripture as much as possible in his hymns and in his writings. Now, he was born in Franklin, Kentucky in 1866, but he ended up settling down in Louisville, Kentucky. He was a school teacher. He was a newspaper editor. He was an insurance salesman. I mean, he was a regular guy, but he wrote hymns on the side. He just wanted to share how God was working in his life. And for the sake of this hymn, his inspiration for Great is Thy Faithfulness, which he wrote in 1923, was simply inspired by the realization that God is constantly at work in our lives every day. It wasn't some monumental thing that happened in his life that he's like, oh, I'm going to write this poem because I'm going through this big thing. No, he was just kind of realizing that God was with him every day in little things. Kind of as we looked at St. Teresa, you know, how God is involved in the little things. And one of the quotes that I really like of his is this: my income has not been large at any time due to impaired health in the earlier years, which has followed me on until now. I must not fail to record here the unfailing faithfulness of a covenant-keeping God, and that he has given me many wonderful displays of his providing care, for which I am filled with astonishing gratefulness. See, Thomas was able to maintain this great faithfulness and his gratefulness towards God. He put it in his hymn, Great is Thy Faithfulness. And interestingly enough, as I mentioned, he liked to write based on Scripture. And so the Scripture verses that kind of made up the basis for the hymn, Great is Thy Faithfulness, is Lamentations 3:22 through 23, where we read this by the prophet Jeremiah. Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. Now that scripture verse actually becomes key to his chorus and his writing of this hymn. So I kind of want to go through this hymn with you. And then I'm going to put a link down in the description so you can listen to this if you've never heard it before. It is kind of an old hymn. So here's verse 1. Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest not, thy compassions, they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever will be. And then here's the chorus. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. We go into the second verse. Summer and winter and springtime and harvest, sun, moon, and stars in their courses above, join with all nature in manifold witness to thy great faithfulness, mercy, and love. And if you've ever read anything by St. Francis and some of his writings, you'll see this love of nature in them also. Then, of course, we go back to the chorus. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. And then we come to the final verse, or verse 3 here. Pardon for sin and a peace that endureth. Thine own dear presence to cheer and to guide. Strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow. Blessings all mine with 10,000 beside. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. What a beautiful writing and recognition of God's faithfulness. So you can use a link there in my description if you want to hear some really good renditions of this. Some other hymns by Thomas Chisholm would be Living for Jesus, What Will It Profit Me? Christ is risen from the dead. Bring Christ your broken life. Thy perfect will be done. Trust in the Lord. So you can see kind of how he is unpacking a lot of hope in his songs and hymns, and I really like that about him. And so what I thought we would do, after seeing how he was sharing God's faithfulness, let's pause for a minute, because in the back of our workbook that Judy Ariz put together, she talks through that Moses portion and how we can see in Moses' life how he was remembering God's faithfulness for all the ways that God had delivered Israel from Egypt. But what about us in our life? Let's pause for a moment. I want you to just think of a time, maybe one way God has been faithful to you. I hope you have that in your mind right now. If not, I'm going to give you a couple more seconds. Think of a way God has been faithful to you, something that's really easy for you to identify. And now, I want you to determine to share God's faithfulness with someone else. Share that testimony. Share that witness. I believe probably somebody that you know in your circle of friends and family and church and work, somebody needs to be encouraged today by God's faithfulness. I know as I was sitting there thinking about that, my thing that I'm thankful for even today is the success of my recent surgery. It was a minor surgery, but it was surgery. I'm very thankful it went well. I was thankful for the doctors, the nurses. I was thankful for St. Charles and the way they handled the whole procedure. I was thankful for my family and the care they gave me afterwards. I was thankful for the friends, some calling me as far away as from Texas and Virginia to pray for me and wish me well as I recovered. I was thankful for the continued prayers of the people in the church. And I'm still thankful that I'm still recovering, and it's just something to be thankful for. So you got to share the way God has come through for you. This is some of the ways that we're able to just help people see the faithfulness of God. Well, I want to thank you. The application for the journey today is this: God is faithful. Pass the word around. And next week, we're going to be going into a whole new kind of series. So I'm looking forward to you joining me next week on Disciple Time. If you haven't done it yet, please just go and subscribe as we're trying to build this channel up for other people and help them find it. Have a blessed day.